rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Oh, goodness gracious sakes alive. So there was a announcement today that, of course, made the leftist lunatics all jump. Maybe not necessarily for joy, but they jumped. Yeah, they did. Anyway, we'll explain a little bit about that. Plus, there was quietly, something dropped. And realistically, this shouldn't be any surprise to anyone when I tell you about this, but yeah, something dropped. And I mean, nobody should really be surprised. It's kind of I personally think it was sort of a waste of time anyway, but anyway. We also have a couple of other things. There's some new polling data out, and some Democrats, well, let's just say they kind of are surprising some people. And also, I have some information on how the Ayatollah got killed in terms of what kind of weapon was used. And, well, you know, if you're a techie, it's kind of cool. We'll get all to that here in just a minute, but first, let's go ahead and get our Pledge of Allegiance going. Tonight's pledge is a fan favorite. Coco, Cam, and Sean are over in the green room, and they are warming up their voices. Sean is getting excited, and so anyway, let's go ahead and get things kicked off here properly. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me, place your hand over your heart, and follow along with Coco, Cam, and the wonderful Sean as they recite tonight's Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Coco, Cam, and Sean, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your pledge played on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, attach it to an email, and send that email off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. I have 21 of these things. I'd like to get 26 by the end of 2026. So if you would, please get it in. I need 5 more to accomplish that goal. And if you find that the audio file or video file that you create is too big to attach to an email, don't forget you can use one of those free tiers for those sharing sites like Dropbox, Box, or even Google Drive, and then they will allow you to take a link to send it to me so that I can download it and get it into the rotation. And also, too, if you do it on your phone, you can use the share option. That's the S-H-A-R-E, share option. And you'll be able to send that off to me and send it to fans at AmericanPerspective.online. All right, tonight's headline sponsor is none other than the Institute on the Constitution. If you head off to theamericanview.com, that's theamericanview.com, you will find that, something's going on here. What's happening here? Why is that Anyway, theamericanview.com is their website, and it's not showing up on the screen. Give me just a second here because it's just some these people. There you go. All right, theamericanview.com, and you can go and check them out. They have a mission to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education from a biblical worldview. Their idea is a 3-step plan to restore the republic. The first step is relatively easy, and that is to pray. Pray, 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 pray for your country. Pray every day. And as long as you're doing that, you can also add your name to an email address or an email list, and you'll be able to receive daily prayers sent to your email inbox to start praying with them. The second thing is to study. Now, somebody asked, what do you study? Well, they have the answer. They have, to start off with, a free 100% online, nationally recognized constitutional course. It's 12 lessons. 12 lessons. You sign up by using this box right over my head here in the video. This box right here. Put in your first name, last name, and email address. Click Get Lesson 1 free, and they will deliver it directly to your email inbox. And what you can do is go through. They'll also send you the rest once per week. They're about 15, 20 minutes long for each session. Not that long. Basically about the time that it would take to prepare a cup of coffee. And you can go and learn about our Constitution from a biblical worldview, of course. The way that it was intended. The way that it was written. The way that it should be implemented. And then after you finish that course, you can also peruse their site to take a look at some of their in-person courses. You can see some here on my screen. You can go around and take a look at all their in-person courses. And then, of course, the question is the ACT part, which is part 3. In part 3, you act by taking the classes. You study by taking the classes. But you can help to further their mission by becoming a member, or even better yet, become an instructor for them and help them out by hosting classes in your own neighborhood. Yes, help to pass along the knowledge that you learn from these classes into your neighborhoods. And help them out by doing this. Become an instructor. You can go and take a look. They have 4 instructor levels available. You can see and watch this video that I'm flashing here, right here on the screen. You go to theamericanview.com, become an instructor, and you'll be able to figure out and listen to this video, and it'll tell you how to become an instructor. And then the other thing, they also have this other video that's on this page. It's just 5 tips for a successful class. You can go and get your instructor kit from their store and pick that up. And, I have another spot in the shop that I really, really like that I'm going to show you. So not only can you pick up your instructor kit, not only can you pick up swag from Self-Evident Ministries, not only can you pick up other educational resources, other books and things like that, but way over here on the right-hand side of the screen, right above my head, over here in the corner, right here is their legacy library. And if you click on that legacy library, you'll be presented with quite a few different options here. But one of my personal favorites is this Leather Constitution book right here. And I happen to have one. Right here in my hand. There it is, the leather-bound, Saddleback, a leather-bound U.S. Constitution. And according to my Whiskey Warrior 3 Chevy, each rounded, cornered leather book contains actual Roman numerals placed in ascending numerical order at no additional charge. You can go and check this out. Look at this wonderful quality craftsmanship. It's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. Look at that. It's stitched all the way through the leather, and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if something does go wrong with this book in that time frame, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to achieve your civics badge in scouting. It will also likely help you study for that civics exam, if they still have those, as well as your naturalization test. Head on over to theamericanview.com, go to their shop, go to their legacy library, and pick one of these up today. It's a great little pocket reference. I use it here on the show quite often, and you can pick yours up today, and you'll be able to read up on the Constitution and, of course, produce it every time your liberal lunatic other folks in your life all talk about the Constitution but don't know about it. I run into those guys all the time on social medias. Anyway, theamericanview.com. Go and check out their website, and don't forget to pray, study, and act today. I thank them for being a sponsor of this show. All right. Well, as if we ever really thought, those of us with actual brain cells, more than 2 brain cells to rub together, as if we ever actually thought that anything was going to come of the Biden auto pen probe. Well, it just sort of faded away. And the reason being is because federal prosecutors closed the probe, and they basically said, well, yeah, he didn't really violate the law. And so they closed it. Yeah. It's sad. It really is. Because realistically now what this does, just like anything else, like if you were to go and break the law and the law lets you go, you're now in a position where you will have the propensity to go and break the law again, especially if you think about it. Anyway, you know, if you really have that kind of a desire to break the law, you know, it's no different than a criminal getting let go, like car theft here in Seattle. It takes an average of 12 arrests before they even bother to put you, you know, to even charge you with anything. Usually if you're caught, they let you go because to them, it's a waste of time. Now, keep in mind, that's, you know, a leftist lunatic city that's doing this. But, which, by the way, side note, Starbucks, one of the main businesses in Seattle, has decided that they're starting to move. They're going to start to move some of their operations to Tennessee, I believe it is. These leftist lunatic cities and states are going to start realizing that, hey, they're against business practices like raising taxes and charging people for their perceived wealth rather than their real wealth. Yeah, that's gonna go over quite well. California's already seen the exodus. New York has seen the exodus, and Seattle is going to start, or Washington is going to start seeing an exodus as well. But anyway, I digress. Yep, old Joe is getting off the hook. Well, all this does is just sets up the precedent that now any president can just utilize the auto pen for no reason. It's so sad that this is the case, that this is what's going on here. It really is. I mean, I would have loved to have seen at least somebody try to stand up and say, hey, the auto pen is not a proper facsimile for the president's actual signature, which would have been the constitutional thing to do. But I guess even Trump's DOJ is saying, yeah, this is a waste of time. Anyway. Well, apparently in an announcement, and there wasn't even really an announcement about Kristi Noem's departure, It was more of an announcement that Markwayne Mullin, who is a senator, is going to be replacing in becoming the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. There wasn't really much of an announcement about Kristi Noem leaving. He just basically says this: I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security effective March 31st of 2026. That was pretty much the top end of the announcement. Now, granted, he continued and says the current secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moved to be special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere we are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland. Yeah. So, of course, the left kind of jumped on this. People like, well, I don't know, who's that? Eric Fartswell? Eric's Fang Bang Bangs Fartswell. Yeah, he jumped on X and was like, hey, Kristi Noem's firing couldn't happen fast enough. But then, as he pointed out, which I'm about ready to point out, it's rare for me to agree with Fartswell. But then he actually pointed out, he's like, well, but let's be realistic about this. If none of the policies change, none of this really matters. Well, okay, except there's only one problem, Mr. Swallowswell, or Fartswell, or Bang Bang a Fang Fang, whatever. Wannabe governor of the state of California, which, God, I hope he doesn't make it. Anyway, if you really want to take a look at it, you should take a look at Congress, because Congress is the one that created all of the laws that are being followed by the DHS and ICE and everything else, dating all the way back to Bill Clinton. That's right. Billy Boy. Billy Boy is the one that put that in with Congress back in the 90s. So don't sit here and say, the policies need to change. No, the policies don't need to change. They're enforcing the law. That's all there is to it. Period. End of story. Now, Secretary Kristi Noem's post on X says, thank you, POTUS, for appointing me as the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Secretary Rubio and Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, are incredible leaders, and I look forward to working with them closely to dismantle cartels that have poured drugs into our nation and killed our children. Yeah. So, yeah. Now, what is interesting about this whole thing is apparently this comes after a heated Senate hearing in which Kristi Noem actually blamed Trump directly for approving questionable contracts worth over $200 million for the deportation ads that have been running, and which also raised concerns about potential conflicts of interest. I'm not exactly sure where the conflicts of interest really are. I mean, I've heard public service announcements before. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. Now, that being said, Trump told Reuters that he had no knowledge of the $200 million contracts. And Noem, of course, testified on the Hill that these contracts went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would actually do or create these advertising commercials. The contracts were awarded using a other than full and open competition, according to records obtained by the Daily Wire. So there's some question as to whether or not this particular exchange may have led to her transfer, let's say. So apparently, according to the records, the Department of Homeland Security, Office of Procurement Operations, on behalf of the Office of the DHS Public Affairs Office, intends to limit competition to 3 contractors. The justification for the decision actually stated. Competition waivers said that the department used internet research and industry publications to identify Safe America LLC as the primary company capable of taking on the ad campaign. Safe America Media was only incorporated days before winning this contract. Now, the strategy group said Tuesday it has never had a contract with DHS, adding that we had a subcontract with Safe America for limited production services. Safe America paid us $226,137.17 total for 5 film shoots, 45 produced video advertisements, and 6 produced radio advertisements, the company said. So, yeah. It's kind of interesting that this is sort of, seriously, really, people, I just, it's these own goals. It's these own shooting ourselves in the foot for stuff like this that really makes it hard for, Republicans and conservatives to actually sit there and think, well, hey, we're really, raw team, we're really the best out there and stuff. Anyway, I don't know. I honestly, I have no idea why this whole thing, this just doesn't make any sense. But, yeah. Now, that being said, unlike what the left is trying to say is that she was fired. She wasn't fired. She was transferred. But the reasons for that transfer are kind of questionable. So, yeah. Anyway, I would consider it more of a transfer if she was still in charge, but we'll have to see what the announcement in Doral, Florida actually is this weekend when it comes to her position going in place. Well, the Democrats every once in a while do actually stumble upon the truth. And, they do actually stumble upon the truth every once in a while. And this is no different. For an example, former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, he was on a MS Now or M Snow, whatever, MSLSD. Anyway, he was part of their election coverage on Tuesday for their primaries. And, yeah, the guy was talking and he actually argued that the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, actually needs federal subsidies. Now he goes, and this is his quote. He says, because we've lost so many people on the Affordable Care Act who can no longer afford it, and people who are there are having to pay more for policies with higher deductibles. Okay, let's kind of break this down for a minute. I thought it's in the name Affordable Care Act. And you have a program that was designed to make healthcare, well, again, in the name, affordable for people. And the Democrat also stepped up and said, well, it can't survive without subsidies. In the business world, that is known as running in the red. And when you run in the red long enough, you end up running it into the ground. Yeah. You have to, you're running it into the ground. Well, if you're running it into the ground, that means you're not making any money. Now, not saying that the Affordable Care Act was supposed to be making any money, but think about this for a second. How is it that federal government subsidies has to continue subsidizing the Affordable Care Act and the Affordable Care System? See, government isn't in the business of business. Government isn't supposed to be doing this. And again, I go back to, oh, that wonderful leather-bound book right here called the Constitution. And under Article 1, Section 8, there is nothing in Article 1, Section 8 that actually discusses healthcare. Nowhere. So why we even have this program, because it is an unconstitutional program, is beyond me. Well, nobody's actually challenged it under constitutional laws. But anyway, at least we have, well, sort of an honest Democrat there. Sort of honest. All right. Well, speaking of the Democrats and honesty, they've been going on and on and on and on and on about the fact that they are saying, oh, Trump is failing. Trump's numbers are going down. Trump is not doing what the American people do. Well, there's a new poll out. A new poll. Let's see. It's a Harvard Caps Harris poll, and it was conducted February 25 and 26th. Now, for those Democrats who are running and thinking that they're going to recapture the majority of the House in the House and the Senate, this poll might make them think a little bit differently. Because of the fact that, according to the poll, Trump's overall approval sits at 46%. Now, keep in mind, he's never really been above 50. And if he did get above 50, it really wasn't for that long. But that being the case, this actually ticked upwards across every major policy area, nearly every major policy area. So obviously his strongest marks, which everybody knows, are fighting crime in cities. He was at 51% approval. Immigration, he was at 48% approval. Returning America to its values, he was at 48% approval. But even in his weakest categories, which realistically weren't that far away, for an example, reporting or responding to anti-ICE protests in Minnesota, he was only at 42% approval, and tariffs and trade policy at 43% approval. Well, there are areas where they can grow. Now, here's where it gets especially uncomfortable for the Democrats. A full 52% of voters in this poll say the economy is better today than it was under Biden. The economy is better today than it was under Biden. And that's a 52%. That, by the way, is up 5 points from January. So here we go. So January, February, we go into March. Yeah, things are starting to look a little bit better. And granted, it's not happening quickly, but it is happening. Prices are going down. Gas prices are down. And all this stuff. So there's more money in your pocket. I got something here on that too, coming in. So anyway, 36%, according to this, 36% say that their personal financial situation has improved. That's actually up 4 points since November. Now, most of the gains, of course, were concentrated among Republicans and males, likely midterm voters and urban voters aged 25 to 44. There's clearly a trend going up here in these things, but we'll have to see as things go on. Obviously, I mean, the Iran war, the Iran conflict, we'll call it, because it's not a war, But the Iran conflict is going to be affecting things. Now, keep in mind, again, this poll was at the end of February, 25th and 26th, so there could be a lot of changes for all of this. But yeah. Anyway. All right. Now, keep in mind, obviously, that between now and the midterms, if things start moving forward and start going going Trump's way in a bunch of different areas, you're probably going to see sentiment change, and that could affect the midterms, which is making it to where things are potentially not going to go quite so well for the Democrats. All right, before I go on to my next, let's take a quick break here. Yeah, let's talk about this. Because everybody likes steak. I know everybody likes steak. All right, today's sponsor is Chicago Steak Company. And right now, they are giving away 4 free steaks on every single order. The code to get those 4 free steaks is B as in Bravo, P as in Papa, S as in Sierra, I as in India, R as in Romeo, free. That's BPSIR, free. Now, do you ever buy steaks at a grocery store and it's just total gamble? Meaning that you're standing there staring at all this shrink-wrapped mystery cuts, trying to figure out which one might actually be decent for you. And half the time, when you get it home and you cook it, it's just, fine. It's nothing really special. Well, Chicago Steak Company is the opposite of all that. USDA prime and upper choice, hand-selected by butchers in Chicago, wet-aged, 28 to 40 days, vacuum-sealed and shipped on dry ice right to your door. Every single cut is hand-carved. There is no guessing. Here's the part that is really cool. Spend $199 or more, any steaks, your choice, using the code BPSIR free, FREE, and they will throw in 4 bourbon peppercorn sirloins for free. Plus, you'll also get free shipping. These are 6-ounce top sirloins with cracked peppercorn and bourbon rubs. Lean, beefy, bold flavor. Throw them on a hot grill and they're done in minutes. That's $160 worth in free steaks. $160 in free steaks. Now, they have 15,000 5-star reviews. These guys are the real deal. How do you get it? Well, you head on over to mychicagosteak.com. mychicagosteak.com/rumble. mychicagosteak.com/rumble. Use the code BPSIRFREE. That's BPSIRFREE. And you'll be able to get that special deal with those 4 cracked peppercorn and bourbon rub steaks. Once again, go to mychicagosteak.com/rumble. For those of you, forward slash is the question mark key. Use the code BPSIRFREE. And you'll be able to get that steak package by spending $199 or more at the site. Any steak, your choice, with that code, and they throw in the 4 bourbon peppercorn sirloins for free, as well as free shipping. Go and check it out today. Go to mychicagosteak.com/rumble, and don't forget to use the BPSIRFREE code in the promo code box. All right. Wow, that just made my mouth water. I don't know about you, but man, steak. Oh, anyway. All right. Did you happen to know that there is a state in the Union, a Democrat state in the Union, that, well, they may actually get voter ID before we can get the SAVE Act through the Senate? Yeah. Here's the thing. This is a measure that is gathered over 1 million signatures in none other than Lefty, California. That's right. There's an initiative imposing new voter identification requirements in California, and it's now one step closer to getting on the ballot. Roughly 1.35 million signatures were collected during the effort to get California voter ID initiative on the November 3rd general election ballot. Now, the 800,000 signatures were required, and they got 1.35 million. Now, the initiative petitions now go to the Secretary of State to verify the signatures later this week. The new initiative would would require voters to show one of several different forms of identification, according to supporters during a press conference on Tuesday morning. Those who vote by mail will have to write the last 4 digits of their identification number on their ballot for it to be counted. Numbers would be from a form of identification of the voter's choice. State lawmakers who advocated for the measure said the effort has drawn actually bipartisan support. Well, this is what I've been telling you guys. This is what everybody has been telling you, with the exception of the Democrat idiots in Congress. Voter ID and requiring ID to vote is an 80-20 issue. Most people, the vast majority, 86% of all voters want it. 71% of Democrat identified voters want it. There is absolutely zero reason for us not to pass the SAVE Act. None. So anyway, Assembly member Carl DeMaio, a Republican from San Diego in the state legislature, says voter ID is one of those rare opportunities, one of those rare issues where Democrats, Republicans, and everyone in between all agree. Yep, that is absolutely true. And there are a lot of concerning discrepancies in our election practices. Well, now, wait a minute. I thought all of our elections were like very secure, very, on the up and up, safe, secure, fair, all of that stuff. Well, even California is getting on the bandwagon and saying, hey, we really do need to get this voter ID going. Really do. All right. Well, even though the Senate turned down the War Powers resolution, the House is going to go forward with a vote tomorrow. I guess this is hopefully going to put the final nail in the coffin on this BS. But anyway, the House is going to vote on it, and we'll see what happens. They're preparing to vote tomorrow. Or wait a minute, today. Oh, it was supposed to be today. I was thinking today was Wednesday. Instead, it's Thursday. They were supposed to vote today. I don't know if I've seen any answers out of it. But yeah, we'll have to see. The tally in the House is expected to be tight, but the outcome will provide an early snapshot of the political support or opposition of the U.S. Israeli military operation and Trump's rationale for bypassing Congress which is not bypassing Congress, because every single president in modern history, especially since the War Powers Act of 1973 got passed, has utilized the War Powers Act of 1973 to do stuff like this. So I don't understand why everybody sits here and talks about, there's no way, that Congress has to be involved in this. In fact, you know what? I'm going to tell you, if you really want to understand exactly constitutionally and historically where this comes from, you really got to go and check out the Mark Levin Liberty's Voice podcast. Episode number 9, which was released, I think, between yesterday and today. Episode number 9 actually goes through this from a historical standpoint. And just to kind of basically sum it up really quick, the original Constitution had Congress having the power to make war, and they changed it. They had the power to make war, and they changed it. And they changed it into declare. And the reason why is because of the fact that they were concerned that Congress would be too big and too slow in a very crucial situation for it to be able to, to be able to take that out, to be able to act decisively and quickly. And so because of the original Constitution saying Congress has the power to make war, they eventually changed that to Congress has the power to declare war, and also even defined a little bit in terms of the fact that the president, being the commander-in-chief, was the person who should be involved to be able to do this. And Mark Levin on his Liberty's Voice does a very good job explaining all of this with, believe it or not, Madison's notes from the Constitutional Convention. Even Madison himself was like, you know what? I'm against giving a whole bunch of power to the president, but this does have to go to the president. Even he says that. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but yeah, that's kind of where that came from. So sitting here and trying to say like the president can't use the military in the way that he so chooses is kind of beyond all of this. All right. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Anyway, apparently my Whiskey Warrior P1 is T of Texas has the result from this vote. So the House voted on the bill and description, bill title, the resolution for directing the president in terms of Iran. And if I'm reading this correctly, there were 212 yes votes and 219 no votes, with one person not voting and 0 voting present. So that means it failed, just like the one in the Senate did. So, yeah. There you go. It failed. That bill failed. So now it's completely done. We don't even have to worry about the president vetoing it, which he could. He could have vetoed it. But anyway. All right. Now, in a coup de grace, I got to tell you, this is kind of cool. When you get some technological advances, especially in war, it's some of this weaponry is really kind of cool. Let me show you this diagram. So apparently this is how the bomb that took out the Ayatollah, the presidential complex in Tehran, actually worked. So it looks like an Israeli fighter jet launches what's called the Blue Sparrow missile. Now, the Blue Sparrow doesn't go directly toward the target, for those of you who are on the audio portion of the program. The Blue Sparrow actually turns upward, going up in the atmosphere, boost on a booster rocket. It sends the missile out of the Earth's atmosphere. Now, granted, this makes it travel, further, but it's also more difficult to intercept at the same time. Well, while it's out of the atmosphere traveling in space, the warhead actually separates from the booster rocket and then locks on target. The missile then will go and re-enter the atmosphere and strike the target. Talk about technology. So now we're sending missiles not directly to their targets anymore. We're sending them up into space, having them cross space, break apart, become smaller because the warhead is smaller, less of a target, and then drop pretty much straight down on top of the target. That is just some amazing technology. And considering the accuracy that these things have, wow. And keep in mind, too, that America and Israel have some of the best technology available. All right. Well, we all know, as I reported last night, that the Khamenei's son, Ayatollah Khamenei, his son was elected the next supreme leader. Well, Trump basically says, no. We need, meaning President Trump, needs to be personally involved in deciding who's going to lead Iran now. In an interview with Axios, published today, Trump said that he intends to have a direct role in selecting Iran's next supreme leader, comparing the situation to his administration's intervention in Venezuela. He said, quote, they're wasting their time, meaning the assembly of whatever, the assembly of idiots or whatever it is that they do to select the next supreme leader. Anyway, he says they're wasting their time. Khamenei's son is a lightweight. I have to be involved in the appointment, like with Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela. Trump said that Mojtaba Khamenei, which is the slain leader's son and a powerful cleric with ties to the Iran's Revolutionary Guard, appears to be the frontrunner to replace it, but Trump made it clear that he's going to oppose that outcome. Now, what do you think is going to happen if he actually, is selected or is found after he's selected? What do you think is going to happen? My guess is, he's probably not long for this world. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, Trump said his son, Khamenei's son, is unacceptable to me. We want someone that will bring harmony and peace to Iran. Trump did warn that installing another leader who follows the elder Khamenei's hardline agenda could drag the United States back into a conflict. He goes, if they put someone like that in, we'll be back at war in 5 years. Now, these comments, of course, come as the clerical establishment weighs its next move. The Assembly of Experts, probably the Assembly of Idiots. Anyway, the Assembly of Experts, which is the body responsible for choosing the country's supreme leader, has delayed announcing a successor, even though officials have suggested that a decision could come soon. And Khamenei's son, 56, is widely viewed as the leading candidate despite never having held elected office, and his potential rise has raised concern about a hereditary transfer of power inside Iran's ruling system. Yeah, I don't think that is going to go over very well. Anyway, well, Democrats, it's really interesting to watch Democrats especially turn on their own. For an example, we had, Democrats have turned onto Joe Biden because Joe Biden did what he did and didn't bow out immediately and couldn't carry on. They also have, Kamala Harris, who still, as far as I know, still owes the DNC like $20 million for her campaign. Well, Jasmine Crockett is just the latest in a group of Democrats. And by the way, it's her own fellow black Democrats that are saying that her defeat is 100% her fault. Now, according to several multiple black Democrats, they were reportedly unsurprised about her 6-point primary loss on Tuesday. They are criticizing Crockett's failed Senate campaign for, quote, lacking focus and utilizing a media strategy that overly prioritized social media instead of investing in television advertisements. This is apparently a report out of Politico today. That report, of course, comes after James Tallarico, I got a little bit on him here in a minute, bested Crockett in Texas's Senate Democratic primary on Tuesday, securing 54.4% of the vote compared to Crockett's 46.2% of the vote, per NBC News. Democratic Texas State Representative Jolanda Jones told Politico in an interview, people who don't understand politics will be upset because Jasmine was their hero, but for people who understand politics, Crockett literally had no ground game. This loss is on her. Yeah. Yeah. Now, there was another anonymous black National Democrat operative who told Politico that Crockett, quote, ran a effing terrible campaign that many will question if she's running a campaign at all. Yeah, anyway. Stephanie Brown James, co-founder of the Collective PAC, which is an organization that claims that its mission is to build black political power, told Politico, in many ways, Crockett has been and has felt like a woman on an island. Even though she has substance, not everybody likes her style. And I think that sometimes her style is one that is not appealing, especially to the old guard Democrats whose fighting style is antiquated and outdated. Oh, so in other words, she's like too modern? How about too left? How about that? Anyway, a spokesperson for Crockett's Senate campaign, of course, dismissed all of these critiques, telling Politico they were coming from Monday morning quarterbacks. Sure. How about you just field a candidate who actually can do something? Speaking of that, James Tallarico. Well, now that he is going to be on what is essentially the national spotlight, this is sort of like, you know, if you decide to get into politics and you've got a whole bunch of things in your past, this is part of the reason why I probably never go into politics, because I'm sure anything that I say on this show will come back to haunt me if I were to jump into politics. Not that I really care if it does, but anyway, the point being is that whenever you decide to jump into politics, you need to understand that everything that you say is going to get combed through. Every video that you made, every statement that you made, everything that you have done, especially today, is going to get combed through. And if there's any skeletons in your closet, well, guess what? You're going to get picked up. Well, James Tallarico, he apparently made a social media post about him being white. And this is now resurfaced. Apparently his statement was that his white skin, and that's a quote, gives him, quote, immunity from, quote, the virus of racism. Wait, what? Oh, this guy, and apparently he's supposedly potentially openly racist. Now, let's be honest. Have you ever met a Democrat that isn't racist? I'm just saying. They all believe that black people and women can't get ID, that they're too stupid to do it. Yeah, we don't. We on the conservative side know. But apparently now Tallarico is starting to be likened to the one and only Beto O'Rourke as well. So this is going to be interesting. I don't think Tallarico really understands what's going to happen here. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen some of the videos, because apparently he's like some sort of a pastor at some church, which is not biblical, because he basically has said that, he said a bunch of stuff that is non-biblical in his church. And he also was on a state assembly board where he literally said that anybody who doesn't believe in the fact that there are actually 6 genders, wait, I thought there was like more than 1,000 different ones. But anyway, he actually said that anybody that doesn't believe in 6 genders is essentially stupid. So, yeah, we're going to, it's going to be interesting to see as he moves into the state or beyond the state. Yeah. Apparently now some people have also said that James Tallarico is actually far more leftist than even Jasmine Crockett was. So yeah, we'll just see what happens here with it. Oh, anyway. All right. Really quick, in the final moments here, I just want to point out that you may have some more money in your pocket, because apparently, according to reports, private payrolls jumped by 63,000 in February, which was much more than expected. So U.S. businesses went on a hiring spree in February, according to the latest payroll processing data from ADP. Private sector employees added 63,000 workers, which was a big rebound from the mere 11,000 in ADP's revised January estimate. Economists had forecast only 43,000 jobs added in the month. So this is now showing that we've got a strong hiring coming in, according to this ADP data. So for all of those who are out there saying that our economy is really, really bad and stagnant and so on and so forth, there are indicators that are showing that it's not. Now, granted, this is weird. This is a weird location that we're kind of in, but at the same time, it's been decades since we've had to recover from, almost double-digit inflation. So a lot of things are going to be kind of strange. This is sort of new territory for us, but I wanted to bring that to your attention in the closing minutes. Annual pay, by the way, is up 4.5% for workers who have stayed at their jobs. The biggest pay gains for job stayers came in finance, where pay is up at 5.2%, and manufacturing, where wages are up 4.9% over the year. So there you go. So construction workers also saw a 4.7% gain, and leisure and hospitality workers 4.6% increase. According to that, the slowest pay gains were in information technology, where pay is only up 4%. And workers who have switched jobs saw their pay rise 6.3%, according to these reports. Alrighty, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And once you're signed up and signed in, search for the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget, on your way out, give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a thumb sideways if you're 3 Chevy across all my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.